Greetings. You're the Black Light. Experience and a thorough knowledge of yourself gives you a wisdom. And then when you know how to control or master power and force, you have the wisdom of God. But you got to have a thorough knowledge of self. And once you start to uh, exercising your abilities to heal yourself, to correct all, all, all your wrong thoughts and actions, then you are on a natural high. I mean, you're elevating yourself high above everybody else. You see things different. You have God vision. Uh, in street terms, you be sucker free because then you don't need to go to the doctor. You could avoid accidents. You could avoid trouble because then you know that your mind attracts all of this to you when you're thinking on a certain vibration, on a certain level. Uh, but it takes experience and awareness. You got to look at each second of your life as it passes. Reflect on each day, where did you go wrong at? Or actually, when you when I say you're not going wrong, I say you fail to listen to that first voice, the very first voice that's within you. You ignored it. And that's a place where most people actually make mistakes, not listening to that first voice. So uh, we were talking about the days of when I was in elementary school, living here in Detroit, and my uncles, how they introduced me to Islam and the Nation of Islam. And it was living over here on the west side of Detroit on Finkel and Wildermere where I really started to question the Caucasian's authority and his nature, his purpose. And my uncle had been talking to me all along, but I was kind of like in the streets, listening to uh, some of what my other uncles, the accomplishments they did in the streets by hustling. And in my neighborhood, we had bona fide pimps who didn't have to give girl drugs. They had call girls. They just didn't have streetwalkers. They had call girls, white. There's this one brother named Donnell, no longer here. His nephew and I used to run together. And I picked up a whole lot of wisdom on pimping. Uh, pimping it's just a game, and there's rules to that game. that everyone that want to be into that life, well, they got to play by the rules. And when uh, I started learning the ins and outs of pimping, that's when it came to me that Uncle Sam was the master pimp, because you're selling illusions. You're living in a unreal reality, and that's the world. But in that pimping world, you got master thieves, con artists, and because you got boosters, and they getting pimped for their talents of stealing. And a pimp, he gonna have him a couple of boosters, some hoes. He gonna have him some dykes, you know, so forth. But what turned me on to the Caucasian as being the enemy is not the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because after all, my mother, she left when I was 7. She left the Nation of Islam. But I started seeing through that fake Santa Claus, through all of his holidays, uh, and his whole concept. So I had to fight, physically fight the white boys, and they had all the police over there on, I forgot the name of the precinct. It was the Palmer Park precinct, were white, and I got picked up on Finkel Avenue on Finkel, and they had me down in the police station, and they said, "No, we should beat your ass, you black nigga. We should make you shine our shoes." You know, I wasn't afraid of them. I was talking shit, and so, but I got picked up again, and they was talking about taking us. It was me and some more brothers got picked up on the railroad tracks and shooting us in the head, call us black dogs and niggas and whatever. Then they started shooting brothers 15, 14 without provocation. And this is all just before the 67 riots. And so after those riots, but before those riots, we had a run-in with a motorcycle gang, and a white motorcycle gang called the Highwaymen. They were going. Some of them were going to Cody High School. Some of them were going to Mumford and Post Junior High. And there was many riots over there in that area, and we joined schools together to fight them. It was Central High, Northern High, Northwestern High, along with us going to Post Junior High. Wasn't no black people going to Mumford before that. But we were, after we graduated from Post, we were going to go over to the Mumford District High School. And when all these schools met up on Green Line and Puritan, or Green Line and Finkel, we started throwing white boys off the expressway, and we just jacked up that whole neighborhood. our parents was in on it too. Some of our parents, not all of them. They were fighting too because they had stabbed a black girl in the back. You know, and stabbed a black guy in the back. His name was Marvin Stevenson. And this is just before the riot, a couple of years maybe before the '67 riots. Police was on the wild, and so this right here, after the riots, you know, I was about 21, and I went through a whole lot of changes uh, with the school system. So I had to take a GED, because I was sent over to uh, Washington Trade. But I never did. I took my GED and passed the test, passed the GED, so I had a diploma. So years later, I went to Wayne County Community College. I was in my 30s, and I wanted to test. I was going to take classes so I could test the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And just so happens that at that time in Wayne County Community College, there was a lot of black revolutionaries, like Shrine of the Black Madonna, and some brothers from Pan-Africanist brothers and Nation of Islam. They were teachers, instructors. I took their classes. Biology teachers, even some white classes like biology, philosophy, psychology, English, and I found out that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teachings are superb, are supreme. This is Black Light. Stay tuned.